What's up, world? Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host, Micah. Today we're talking about UFC Fight Night 25, down the Bayou, Shields versus Ellenberger. There's 12 bouts on this card. We're going to give you a little breakdown and a prediction on all of them. We'll get right to it. The first fight that we have is Justin Fast Eddie Edwards, who's 7-1, taking on the debuting little monster, Jorge Lopez, who has an 11-1 record. Edwards is a member of Team George Herschel, uses a Greco-Roman wrestling style to his fight game, an alumni of The Ultimate Fighter. As to where his opponent, Lopez is a member of the Wanda Fight Team, protege of Wanderlei Silva, devastating Muay Thai, kicks, punches, elbows, knees. And then Edwards uses a Greco-Roman wrestling styling. It's a grappler versus a striker. The grappler, though, he comes in with a high shot, trying to do takedowns at the waist, at the high chest. I think that Lopez has good hips. He's going to be able to get out of the way, use his kicks, combinations, and devastate Edwards. I see a unanimous decision victory going to Jorge Lopez, thinking that it's just a better stylistic matchup for him and his ability to get out of the way versus Edwards' takedown abilities. Next fight we got is Mike Luo, who's 8-2, taking on Robert Problems Peralta, who's 14-3. Luo is dropping down from lightweight to featherweight. As to where Peralta is debuting in the UFC, he's a late replacement for Mackin Semenzar. When it was Semenzar versus Luo, it was a grappler versus grappler. Now Peralta is a striker. Peralta is more of a bantamweight, featherweight. He has championship titles in the Gladiator promotion under both of those divisions. So Luo will have his successful matchup of being the bigger, stronger fighter. But I think that his training, being the last several weeks, preparing for another grappler, now taking on a striker, a much more well-rounded, higher-level striker, I think that Peralta will be able to pull off a split decision victory. As to where Luo is going to waste most of his time trying to achieve pressure and takedowns, and Peralta will just be beating him up with his stand-up. Next fight we got is TJ Wahlburger, who's 13-6, taking on Mike Stumpf, who's a late replacement for Daniel Ninja Roberts. Wahlburger, 10 submissions, 1 KO. Stumpf himself, also a submission guy, 7 submissions, 2 TKOs. He's a member of Team Curran. I think being the last minute replacement is really going to hurt him. This is like 7-day notice of being the replacement. So his cardio, his losing weight down in the cut, this could be very interesting. Wahlburger, I think, is going to be a bigger guy at fight time in a healthier sense, not worn out. He'll take advantage of that with takedowns. I'm thinking he finishes the fight with his ground and pound in the third round. Just not a good fight on such short notice for Stumpf. Next fight we got is heavy metal Clay Harbison, who has a 9-3 record, taking on Seth Baksninski, who has a 13-6 record. Both men alumni of The Ultimate Fighter. Harbison likes to stand, trade, throw leather, even though that he has 5 submission victories. Baksninski has 8 submission victories, but also likes to stand in there and throw leather himself. Baksninski, since being kicked out of the UFC, has been on a 2-fight win streak, has been finishing guys. He said he's learned his killer instinct. It's been a learning lesson being outside of the UFC. Harbison, who doesn't really have the knockout power, can finish with punches and bunches if he hurts a guy, but he doesn't have that raw natural power. His submission skills are catching guys, not overwhelming them. I think that Baksninski is going to be so motivated, so hyped up, and bigger, stronger. I see him finishing this fight off in the third round with strikes, TKO. Next fight we're talking about is Danny Eagle Eye Walker, who has a 14-7 record, taking on Ken Stone, who has a 9-3 record. Walker, 8 submissions, good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, heavy-handed, hard-headed, kind of comes in, throws wildly, not really being scared of taking the ground, where he has pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Stone has had a harsh welcoming to the Zuffa organization with bouts against Eddie Wineland and Scotty Jorgensen, 2 of the top bantamweights in the world, both times first round TKOs. The fight against Jorgensen, he lost with a punch. He was actually winning that fight. It looked really well. Against Wineland, he was dropped on his head from a slam and knocked out. I think he's learned from these experiences. He's done well against these high-rated fighters. I think he's going to put it all together. Use his stand-up, a better technique, takedowns to steal rounds, have a better, well-rounded game, change levels with the strikes to the takedowns, and efficiently work Walker for a unanimous decision victory for Ken Stone. Next fight we got is Matthew Riddle has a 5-2 record taking on Lance Benoist, who's 5-0. Riddle, all 7 of his bouts have been in the UFC. Tough young kid, tested, using a boxing striking, adding more kicks and more technique all the time, solid wrestling and takedowns, not overly great with his ground and pound or the submission game. Lance Benoist likes to be on the ground. 4 of his 5 victories as a professional have been submissions. As an amateur, altogether his record 11-0. A lot of first-round finishes in that. I think this is going to be, though, the butterflies in the stomach, the welcome to the UFC. I think that Riddle will be able to use his changing of levels, his striking, his more tools, stay out of trouble with his experience. I give him a slight striking edge. He has a slight disadvantage in the grappling with his submissions, but he has better wrestling. He has more experience. I think he'll edge out the unanimous decision victory. Next fight we got is Shamar Bailey, who has a 12-3 record, taking on the 11-2 Evan Dunham. Shamar Bailey, an Ultimate Fighter alumni, dropping down from welterweight to lightweight, has big promotion experience with the Elite XC and Strikeforce. Dunham, very tough, like this fighter a lot. We all know he has heart. He comes back through adversity, the big elbow that he took from Sean Shirk, big gash out the side of his eye, bleeding a lot. Very close decision. It was very controversial. The next fight after that, getting knocked out by Melvin Gillard. So he's went from being a main eventer on a pay-per-view card to now on a prelim card of a fight night. Give him motivation. I think he has all-around better skills. Bailey at welterweight had cardio problems. Now going to lightweight. I don't know what he's going to do. When we've seen in a lot of his fights, he does takedowns and he lays on the guy. He's not as exciting. He needs to be more aggressive. I think Dunham's going to be able to work him. If he doesn't finish him, it'll be a unanimous decision. But I'm hoping he'll finish Bailey in some fashion. Not really sure how, but I'm thinking it's just going to go to the decision. Next fight we got is Cody McKenzie, who's 12-1, taking on Wagner Roja, who's 6-2. McKenzie is the guillotine master. We've seen him from the Ultimate Fighter. Really like the guy. Great personality. Awesome guillotine. Roja has incredibly high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Hopefully he can keep his head out of the way, not get stuck in that vice grip. He has more weapons if he avoids that one weapon. He has more leg locks, more arm locks. He stood in the ring with Donald Cerrone. For every time that we've seen McKenzie, he said he has Muay Thai in his background, but it's came down to a grappling game. If he's victorious, it's been with a guillotine. If it's outside of the guillotine, Eve Edwards was able to overwhelm him with a more well-rounded game. I'm thinking that Roja wins this in a unanimous decision, just having more tools in his bag. Next fight, that was our finish of the prelims. Our next fight, we move to the main card. First fight of that is Jason the Athlete McDonald with a 26-14 record, taking on Alan the Talent Belcher, who's 15-5. McDonald, who's victorious in his last outing at UFC 129 versus Ryan Jensen, overwhelmed him, pulled him into his own guard, slapped the triangle on him. Tremendous moment for McDonald, coming back off of a 3-fight losing streak. That's where he's coming from. Belcher is coming from a 16-month layoff, 2 eye surgeries for a detached retina. He's a very good Muay Thai practitioner. Great striking, thunderous leg kicks. He's been working on his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's been working on his wrestling with Olympic wrestler, Bellator welterweight champion Ben Askren, and he's a member of the Duke Rufus camp. Tremendous strikers there. This fight is striker versus grappler. The bread and butter for McDonald is using his takedowns, using his athleticism and his strength, and submitting guys. Belcher's been working on that. If Belcher's been up to par with himself, if he feels himself in the fight from this injury and there's no ring rust, I see him outstriking, winning a unanimous decision looking good doing that, overwhelming in the striking game with leg kicks, and then therefore stopping the takedowns of McDonald. McDonald could come out and get a submission, but I don't see it very likely. I think that Belcher's defense will be good enough to stop the takedowns, force this to go into the deep waters, and win with strikes. I have Alan Belcher. Next fight we have is the Ultimate Fighter winner, Jonathan Brookins, who has a 13-3 record, versus Eric Newbreed Koch, who's 12-1. Koch is a striker, Brookins a grappler, killer some subs. Really like Brookins, but last time we saw him against a high-level striker, Jose Aldo took complete advantage of him with leg kicks. Koch is a knockout artist, three-fight winning streak. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt, one of the higher-ranked grapplers that we're also going to see Brookins go up against. I think this has first-round knockout, run all over it. Eric Koch. Brookins just is not as complete as Koch, and Koch has such violent striking. Next fight, the co-main event of this event, is Dongyi Yang, the Ox, who's 10-1, taking on another Ultimate Fighter winner, Court the Crusher McGee, who's 12-1. Again, I'm a big fan of Court's. Like his wrestling, his submission, 6 submission victories, the 2 TKOs, the wrestling, the submissions, the 7-fight win streak, such heart, coming back from the adversity of his life, the grappling, but I think that Yang is just going to be too much for him to handle. Ryan Jensen tried to take advantage of Court McGee in the striking game. Yang has 9 of his 10 victories by KO, 1 submission. I see Court McGee getting knocked out too this night. Second round I'll give him, as he's very hard, has a harder chin, I think, than Jonathan Brookins from earlier. This takes us now to our main event, Battle of the Jakes. Jake Shields, 26-5-1, taking on Jake the Juggernaut Ellenberger, 25-5. Shields, Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, American wrestler, another guy with a vice grip of a guillotine, 10 submission career victories. Ellenberger, a wrestler with more power, 15 knockout victories in his career. He's really been working the circuit, working the media, saying he doesn't respect Shields, that this is going to be an easy fight, giving Carlos Roja more props, his last opponent. Shields has just lost his father. Shields is coming in with the heart of the warrior. Shields is the first person to take a round from GSP. He has an experience. He has a victory over a star-studded arraignment of MMA figures. I see that until he loses, and definitively, I don't see him losing. He has a hard head. If Dan Henderson could have knocked him out, and Dan Henderson has knocked out Michael Bisping, Fedor Emelianenko, completely out, and he couldn't do it to Shields. I don't know if Ellenberger has the power to it. I see this being a good grappling matchup, both of them with tremendous wrestling backgrounds. Hopefully Shields shows some more improved striking. Ellenberger can win this fight via TKO. I'm picking Shields with a unanimous decision because every time he gets in trouble, his wrestling overcomes and saves him. And I can't pick against that right now, and I believe he's just going to be too motivated with things in his personal life to let him lose this night. Those have been my predictions. We're going to go through the winners real quick. I got the debuting little monster, Jorge Lopez. I have the debuting Robert Peralta, taking TJ Wahlburger, Seth Bazdinsky, Ken Stone, Matthew Riddle, Evan Dunham, Wagner Roja, Alan the Talent Belcher, Eric Koch, Dongyi Yang, and Jake Shields. This has been Cage Minds. Make sure to follow Cage Minds, Michael Frankel, on Twitter. I'll be talking during the fights. Check back after the fight, see how my predictions did. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.